Mansfield Shire, Tuesday the 30th of June 2026. I'd like to welcome my fellow councillors, the CEO, Kirsten Alexander, all of you out there watching tonight, and people in here, council officers, and watching from the inside here. So welcome the meeting. Apologies.
We have an apology from Councillor Treasure.
Thank you. The statement of commitment. I'll call on each councillor after I read the statement of commitment to reconfirm their commitment. As councillors of Mansfield Shire, we are committed to ensuring our behaviour meets the standards set by the Model Councillor Code of Conduct. We will, at all times, faithfully represent and uphold the trust placed in us by the community. Councillor Teahan.
Yes, I uphold my commitment.
Thank you. Councillor Clark.
I confirm my commitment.
Thank you. Councillor Bruni.
I confirm my commitment.
Thank you. And I confirm my commitment. Item agenda 5, acknowledgement of country, Deputy Mayor.
A meeting is being held on the traditional lands of the Taungurung people. We wish to acknowledge them as the traditional custodians and pay our respects to their elders past and present. We extend that respect to all members of our community.
Thank you. Item agenda number 6, disclosure of conflicts of interest. I'll call on each councillor in turn and ask them to declare whether they have any conflicts of interest in relation to any agenda items tonight. Councillor Teahan.
No conflicts, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Clark.
No conflicts, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Bruni.
No conflicts, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. And I have no conflicts of interest to declare either. Item 7 is the confirmation of minutes. There is a recommendation before us on page 6. Councillor Clark.
I'll move that the minutes of the Mansfield Shire Council meeting held on the 19th of May 2026 are confirmed as an accurate record.
Thank you. Seconder, please. Councillor Bruni. All in favour? Motion is carried. Thank you. Item 8, representations. We have 3 tonight. 2 for item 13.2.2, the High Street Service Lane, and 1 for item 13.2.3, the gravel cycling routes. Notices of motion are nil. The Mayor's report is item 10. I'll take that as read. Councillors. Councillor Clark.
I'll move the council receive the Mayor's report for the period 20th of May 2026 to 24th of June 2026.
Thank you. Seconder. Councillor Bruni. Councillor Clark, do you want to speak to the motion?
No, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Bruni.
No, thank you, Mr.
Does
Mayor.
anyone want to speak against the motion or for it? I'll put the motion to a vote. All those in favour? Motion's carried. Thank you. Item 11, reports from council appointed representatives. So our committees, the Australia Day Awards Committee hasn't met. The Goulburn Murray Climate Alliance, Councillor Breen.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. We, the Alliance, met on the 28th of May, it's a month ago, just after the last council meeting. It was a good meeting. Well, I'll find my note for it. A big part of the meeting was a external presentation from the CSIRO on managed aquifer recharge, which during these times of heavy rainfall events and going into a dry future, there's an interesting discussion about that, how that works on a scale. There's examples from what's happening in California with the managed aquifer recharge. Other part was the development of the strategic plan for the GMCA for 2026 to 2030 is underway, which is sort of adjusting what the scope and direction of the GMCA will be in the future, especially with the ending of Sustainability Victoria and sort of the gap there for circular economy, especially in the regions, and how we could sort of grasp some of the opportunities there. Another part is that we're working to do a councillor workshop at the Victorian Greenhouse Alliance conference in August with the help of Michael Spencer from the Monash Business School. to discuss how, as councils, we can get better bang for our buck with climate actions and how we can integrate it with general services and look at it from a cost savings perspective and any opportunities. But I'll give a rundown of that after August to see if there's anything that comes from it. And that was about all that was discussed.
Thank you, Councillor Bruni. Hume Regional Local Government Network has not met. The Mansfield Shire Audit and Risk Committee met. And I have a summary from Councillor Treasure sent to me. I'd like to note that the key outcomes of the Audit and Risk Committee meeting held on Monday, the 26th of May. The meeting was attended by external members, councillors, executive staff, representatives from AFS and associates, representatives from the Victorian Auditor General's Office as well. Key matters discussed were fraud, cyber security, asset revaluations and quarterly finance reports. Meeting outcomes. Fraud. There was an incident involving low-level fraud in the Shire. However, it did not involve any theft. The incident was reported to IABAC and its investigation showed that all required steps had been taken. The case has now been closed. Internal audit. The infrastructure plan noted a reduction in developer contributions and a lower level of planning applications. Cyber security remains an ongoing challenge, both internally and in relation to potential external breaches that may be impacting the organisation. Potential of AI. Now, this was interesting, the training of staff to use to maximise efficiencies. Also, a little bit of talk about cyber security in relation to AI as well. So they're right onto that. The new government performance reporting framework will come into effect for the 26-27 financial year. And as a result, new KPIs and associated costs will need to be taken up. And upcoming road management and waste management plan was talked about. Basically, the internal auditors commented that across the several shires that they work with, Mansfield Audit and Risk Committee stands out as the most well-run. This was endorsed by one of the external committee members who also sits on several audit and risk committees. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So that was from Councillor Treasure. Thank you, Councillor Treasure, for that. Mansfield Shire CEO Employment Matters Committee has met. We have spoken to the CEO about KPIs, and that's a further discussion coming back, I believe, by July, and will be presented to the council group around that time, July, August, for the August meeting. As my fellow councillors are also on that committee, is there a fair and reasonable remembrance? Yep, good. The Municipal Association of Victoria, not running the state yet, met, and Madam CEO, you were with me.
Yes.
You were on the ball.
There was huge amount through you, Mr. Mayor. There was a lot of motions, a lot of discussion about planning reform in particular. Some motions that went up in terms of the level of consultation in relation to planning reform. Probably better say that's caused quite a bit of concern across local government. There were also motions in relation to regional transport planning, public library funding, which has not kept pace with CPI, and support for housing innovation, a whole range of motions in relation to that. So all in all, an interesting meeting, but I think everyone is still absorbing the impacts of the changes in planning.
Yep. Yep, fair. Yep. Good summation. North East Local Government Waste and Recovery Forum.
Yes, we met, thank you, Mr. Mayor, in this room on June 3rd. On a great meeting. I think from a slow start with this forum last year, it's really kicked up a few gears, and I'll say a special mention to Mr. James Alcanez and Tory Fair for pushing that along. It's great to have their involvement, as well as Silence Year and Adam CEO came along as well. Really good, robust discussion from the different councils about what they're doing. One particular part is Benalla is partnering with Strathbogies as part of a soft plastics recycling. That's sort of dropped off. We're watching with interest to see how they go in that space. Some of the other councils are looking into the textile processing and recycling. Other topics were discussed was around waste education, had an external presentation, which was really good, where they were from Sustainability Victoria, that's now morphing into something new in the department. And that was about getting into schools and a bit more waste education. Big topic of discussion was the glass advocacy. There's still most of the councils are waiting, well, pushing back on it and hoping we can get a better solution for it. The only one that is part of the forum that is bucking that trend is Wangaratta, that's done 100% rollout, and they're seeing some pretty good gains. But I think that's from a larger urban centre that they have, and there's big discussions about collections and trucks and what was used. Then I had to be an apology to go off to get my shoulder scanned, and the continued conversation was around road transport and the impact of the fuel levy is having on pickups and contracts with Cleanaway. FOGO processing that's happening in Wangaratta as well as other areas, and looking at where councils could start combining those efforts. And then more discussion about soft plastic recycling resource centre design, and then different opportunities in the future for advocacy, such as Mansfield joining the Boomerang Alliance, which is pushing for an increase to the container deposit scheme rebate, which will be discussed later in this meeting, I believe. And many other topics I won't go through in completion, but our next meeting is in September. I'll provide another update after that in Wangaratta.
Thank you. Rural Councils of Victoria. No, didn't meet. Station Precinct Museum Community Asset Committee. Next meeting's on August the 7th at 2 p.m, I believe. Did we meet last? I don't think we met last month. It was the month before.
Been month before, I think.
Yeah. I'll check that. Taungurong Local Government Forum has not met. And that is the wrap, councillors. Councillor Clark.
I'd like to move a motion, Mr. Mayor. The council note the verbal reports provided by councillors in relation to their representation on internal and external committees.
Councillor Tian. Second, Councillor Clark, do you want to speak to the motion?
No, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Tian. Councillor Breen. Put the motion to vote. All those in favour? Motion's carried. Public question time. Nil public questions. Councillors, on to the main body of the meeting. So 13.1 is the Chief Executive Officer's report. Any questions on that, councillors? In that case?
Yeah, I do.
You have a question?
Yeah.
Yep.
The CEO, just some questions from the public around the progress of the Greenvale Lane Bridge, and noted that it's due for completion this month. Or sorry, next month.
Yeah,
Tomorrow?
yeah, we got
Month.
a little.
How's it going? Because
Through you, Mr. Mayor, we got a slight extension. There was some delays with the fabrication of the bridge itself, but it's already waiting for the bridge, and it is expected by mid-July. So basically, as soon as they can get some good weather to crane it into position, it'll be going in there.
okay,
So
right.
yeah, very, very close.
That's good.
Yeah.
Good to hear it's on and on time. And just with the library outreach van, where are we at with the note that we've looked at quite a few vans, and whereabouts about that now?
I believe we are close to making an award for a van. Yes, I'm getting a nod from the gallery.
Yeah.
Yes, they've gone and done some test drives, including on some unsealed roads, because it does need to make the trip out to Woods Point. And there's quite a bit of fit out required once we actually acquire it, but we're not far off actually putting a recommendation forward on that.
So that will come to
Yeah,
council
come to
for
council.
the ban. Okay.
Yeah.
So when are we thinking?
I expect August or September. August.
Okay, thanks. That's it.
Okay, any other questions, councillors? I have none. That case. Councillor Clark.
I'll move the council receive and note the chief executive officer's report for the period 1st of May 2026 to 31st of May 2026.
Thank you. I've got a seconder, councillor Greening. Councillor Clark, do you want to speak to the motion?
No, thank you, Mr Mayor.
Councillor Greening, do you want to speak to the motion?
No, thank you, Mr.
Do
Mayor.
you want to speak for or against the motion? Put the motion to a vote. All those in favour? Motion's carried. Item 13.2.1 is the container deposit scheme public bin MOU and advocacy position on scheme expansion. Responsible officer is Tori Fair. Welcome tonight, Tori.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Councillors, any questions for Tori or James? So it's on here. No, in that case. Councillor Brennan.
I'll move a motion
Yes,
that council, according to page 13 of tonight's agenda,
yes,
as written,
yep,
is moved.
thank you. And a seconder, Councillor Tean. Councillor Brennan, do you want to speak to the motion?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Any effort we can do to keep these materials in circulation and encourage more people to do it is really good outcome for the community, and utilise these things within the regions will be even better. Thank you.
Councillor Tean.
Yeah, just to say I'm staggered that 10 million items have been processed through this facility in a year and a half. I thought it was a misprint, but I ran into someone, the green container fella, and he said, no, that was right. So I didn't have to ask you guys. But that's just amazing for a community like this. So it's great. If we increase it to get wine bottles and whatnot, look out.
Councillor Clark, would you like to speak to the motion?
I think my fellow councillors have captured the sentiment.
Yeah, same here. So I'll put the motion to a vote. All those in favour? Motion's carried. Thanks very much for coming. So 13.2.2. This is the High Street Service Lane proposed closure. 3 deputations on this. So I'm assuming, I have Dr. Will in here now, but I'm assuming that Mr. T and Ms. Lynch are online, are they? Okay. All right, well, we'll start with Dr. Will Twycross. Thank you for coming in. You know you've got 3 minutes.
I do know that, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, welcome.
Yep.
Thank you for coming in and giving us your deputation.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Mayor, and councillors and officers. I think it's good to take a historical perspective on this, and that is that when the original grid for Mansfield was laid out, as you know, there were 2 3-chain roads, High Street and Hyatt Street, at right angles to each other, and there was commercial zoned land going east and west and north and south. And as it happens, we know now that most of the commercial activity was on the east end of the roundabout in High Street, not very much at all in Hyatt Street, and almost none going west from the roundabout. But as time's gone on, and it's a lot of time, the commercial use has increased, but this particular strip of land has remained mostly residential. There's one dentist surgery there, I think. And so the service lane was put in, as service lanes are, to serve those residences, not as a throughway. And I think this came to light it's come to light for two reasons. One is that there's just increasing traffic because of multiple factors at the entrance to town. The progress with the railway precinct, which is going to involve a lot of increased activity. The plan for the emergency services precinct, the fact that Buller Sports used to be Mitre 10, but now it's not Mitre 10, it's Buller Sports, and sometimes you get very long lineups for chains and things like that. So and then now there's a service station there. So the commercial activity and the potential of traffic, and the traffic indeed has gone, I think, over the last 5 or 6 or 7 years from 4,000, to 7,000 cars, and it's a great increase. So the service lane's no longer fit for purpose, and in fact there was a planning application that came in that basically suggested the service lane was going to be used as its main access, that cars would go through there to a development on the corner of Station Street and the High Street. And that would have created a lot of traffic along something that was meant to be historically for residences. And the residences are still there. It'll probably remain residential for quite a long time, perhaps with some low impact commercial like dentistry, but the dentists obviously need their own car parking out the back. So it's a very good report that's been put before council. It's noted that there's no financial implications, and it's something that will make that service lane more fit for purpose and also serve one of the tasks that lay in front of the Shire and the Department of Transport in making sure that the traffic coming into town doesn't develop into quite a chaotic situation. And I think this also, by passing this gives notice to the Department of Transport that council are taking the traffic issues very seriously. And I think we need to up the ante with the Department of Transport in terms of the way future planning's done in that area. And particularly with access now to the railway land increasing in the future, including pedestrian access, I have to say. So thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. And I notice you're scratching your wrist, so it must be time up. I was expecting a bell.
Don't go anywhere. Don't
Okay.
stay.
Okay.
Thank you, Dr. Will. Councillors, have you got any questions, Mr. Twycross?
Yeah, I've got a question for you, Mr. Twycross. Your main concern around having this service lane shut off is traffic flow or traffic congestion.
Yeah.
Fair enough, cool. So I'm just a little bit surprised, because if that service lane is shut, and you've got traffic travelling from east to west out on the Maroondah Highway that now don't take that service lane to turn down Station Street, are now going to come into that major bottleneck area that you're talking about to turn left. So pretty much opposite the entrance way to the station precinct.
That's right.
And there's a right-hand turn lane in there. But if you've got traffic coming from the other way, how can stopping cars going down the service lane, it can only create more traffic on Maroondah Highway and then create more congestion for those cars trying to turn left at Station Street, because there is no planned turning lane there.
Yeah, thanks, Councillor Tan. So, but basically you're talking about local traffic, unless there's an inappropriate development applied for on the corner of that street and on the corner of Station Street and the highway. So if that does happen, it would be inappropriate. And I think it's important to make sure that doesn't happen, and also to make sure that those residences only have traffic through there that is for those residences, which is the purpose of a service lane. A service lane is not a through lane, Councillor Tan. It's a lane for the residences in that area.
When you talk about an inappropriate development, you're talking about a drive-through convenience restaurant or something similar.
Talking about, yeah,
on that corner.
Look, I'm talking about any high flow development is not appropriate for that corner. And it's not appropriate for the corner because it's already a very congested area. And I think that if you look back historically, the last time something like that was applied for, it actually estimated that 80 cars an hour would go along that service lane. That's what their traffic report said would happen. Now that's an inappropriate thing to happen. And if this service lane's not closed, council opens itself up to that possibility happening again, because that's what they'll apply for. And you won't be able, and you'll have a lot of trouble stopping it, I can tell you.
Yeah, well, just run me through how so if there was an inappropriate development on that corner, how would the traffic closing the service lane alter an inappropriate development being built there?
Well, it'll make it much more difficult to pass through the Department of Transport, which is basically the determining authority, one of the determining authorities for anything that happens on that corner. So it's not to say that it's a commercially zoned corner. So somebody who owns it now or in the future can apply for a commercial use. But in that area at the entrance to town, opposite the station, near the emergency services precinct, near a service station, it's not appropriate in the future for somebody to apply for a high flow traffic development. And by doing this, it actually sends a signal to the traffic people who assumed that they could run 80 cars an hour through there, that they can't do that.
Oh, I get it.
Yeah, okay. No, that's fine. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
No other questions? No. Next, I think, is Ms. Lynch on my list. Ms. Lynch, can you put your, I can't see your face, so can you move it? Yeah, that's better.
Yeah.
Thank you. Welcome to Mansfield Shire's meeting tonight. Thank you for coming along and giving a deputation. You've got 3 minutes, as you know. Go. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, councillors, officers, thank you for having me. Tonight I'm speaking on behalf of Mansfield Matters Group, and we're pleased to support the proposed second version of the closure of the service road. I don't think anyone in the room there needs reminding that the length of High Street pretty much recognises Maroondah Highway. Between the forthcoming emergency precinct and the divided road just past Station Street is an emerging significant traffic pressure point. With the forthcoming opening of our museum and the associated developments that are also going on around the Information Centre precinct at the moment as we speak, plus the new service station that is not yet open, but there will be significant increase in traffic volumes seeking to turn into Station Street with all this extra development around and people looking for car parks, looking for ways to avoid queues. So whether that be from the left of the highway when heading westward or the right of the highway when heading towards town, if you add all these vehicles together, plus any that might want to make a quick dash left or right across the highway into Station Street, they're looking for parking opportunities, caravan park access, avoiding the town centre altogether. All these additional vehicle movements that right now are not happening, we'll see a significant change to that area with a great deal of pressure, with the majority of the vehicles, of course, still wanting to pass straight through east or west straight on the highway. So the conflicting corner is going to have a much different life than it does now. The vehicle pressure will converge also onto the slip road if it's still allowed to be open. And the current service road configuration is likely to become a safety hazard for traffic, but also, as Will mentioned, pedestrians who are going to be wanting to cross over and visit convenience restaurant inside the service station, go to school, walk down to the caravan park, go to the tennis club, whatever. So of recent time, the service road has become more like a rat run than a residential road servicing just those half a dozen residences along that street. Yes, they are commercial enterprises or in a commercial zone, but they're primarily residences. It was never intended to be a busy access road, and it's going to find itself one very soon. And so it's with these emerging and conflicting traffic pressures that we're really yet to quite see, but all the numbers that have been collected with traffic data suggest that it makes a good deal of sense and a good deal of future proofing for the residential streets to close that slip road now. Thank you.
Thanks, Ms Lynch. Councillors, any questions for Ms Lynch?
Just one, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Dean?
You described the street currently, Ms Lynch, as a rat run. Can you elaborate on that? What do you mean by a rat run?
Well, it's not a road that I use, but it's faster to slip down that little street and take a left-hand turn into Station Street and avoid going further down and around. If indeed we have all these extra traffic points coming in on that, it's going to make that a much more, I guess, concentrated amount of vehicles of any sort going to use that slip road, which it was never intended to be.
Yeah, okay. I'll ask you the same question I asked Mr. Twycross. I feel that traffic heading east, west and wanting to go down Station Street, by them having to go further up the highway and turn in, takes them to that bottleneck point opposite the station precinct. So to me, it could make that intersection a lot more prone to busy traffic accident and, as you say, pedestrian crossing, particularly given that it's not planned to have a turn-off lane into Station Street. Because you could have cars stopping there waiting for cars to turn right into Station Street. A lot more cars doing that. So to me, that would stop the traffic flow. So I'd just like your thoughts on that.
I think something that isn't quite talked about yet here is that if you've got left-hand turning vehicles, which could include caravans or whatever, heading to the caravan park, turning left into Station Street off the slip road, and at the same time you've got traffic turning right into Station Street, you're going to have conflicting traffic within, I don't know, 20, 30 metres of each other, some turning left off the slip road, some turning right off the highway. I think that there's every possibility, and I'm no traffic expert, but it seems to me that you could get congestion right at the corner where you don't need it. There's a lot more, let me say, ability for the left-hand turning vehicles into Station Street to take account of right-hand turning vehicles coming towards town, rather than people getting caught coming off the slip road and coming right the other way. I think it's convergence that we're yet to see, or see in a more significant way than we're going to have coming into the future. We're not going to get a pedestrian crossing there. We're not going to get lights on that corner, or we don't want them, I wouldn't have thought. And it just seems that to close the slip road here takes all that pressure off that corner to a much safer degree.
I've got one question, Ms Lynch. Were you happy with Mansfield Matters Group? Were you happy with this design in option 2?
I think option 2 has got a lot more to offer than option 1. I thought option 1 was clunky for want of a better word, when you looked at how things were going to turn about, and it wasn't what you would expect to see as an average dead end type street. It was kind of a weird sort of design when I saw it.
Did anyone in your group offer to think about a turning lane from the east to the west into Station Street from High Street / Maroondah Highway?
Look, I think there's been a lot of conversation about that bit of that highway, mostly through the service station development, and then the extra bit on the service station development with the laser car wash and the second shop. And, you know, quite frankly, for ours, the DTP have let us down in terms of what they're allowing, and we're yet to see what that is actually going to look like for the extra lane to turn into the service station, and then further on we've then got Station Street. So I think that that whole area has got a huge amount of conflict about to hit us in the face, and I think, and I know that the councillors and also Ms Alexander and the planning team have been trying very hard to influence the DTP, and all I can say is I hope you keep trying hard, because we need it.
Okay, thank you. Councillors, any questions? Thank you for coming in, Ms Lynch. We'll hear from the third deputation tonight, which is Mr Tony Tehan. Good evening, Mr Tehan. Can you hear us? We can't hear you. You'll have to turn on your... Yeah, that's better.
Hear me now?
Yes, I can, Mr Tehan. Welcome to our council meeting. Thank you for coming in to give your deputation, and I'll give you 3 minutes, the same as everyone else. Thank you.
Right, thank you, Lord Mayor. Oh.
No, Lord, just Mayor.
Guys, I strongly agree with the council recommendation, and I strongly support what both Will and Kim have said with regard to traffic. And I think the best solution is the option 2, where you close down the east end and stop that, well, as Kim referred to as a rat run. And I think the traffic situation in that whole area is chaotic. I think closing down the service road it'll go from chaotic to bad. And historically, it should never have been allowed. The service station at the entrance of town should never have been allowed, but that's water under the bridge, and it's going to be there. I'm also concerned, as Dr. Twycross is, that the applicants on the block next to, on the east side of the service station, we might end up with a convenience restaurant there, and it could be a drive-through. And I think this will actually, closing that service road will actually thwart the convenience restaurant. That's my opinion. I think, yeah, I just mentioned the ski hire, the emergency services precinct, which will eventually have SES, ambulance, and fire brigade there. And you've got the ski hire, so you've got a plethora of entrances from the highway, and then on the other side, of course, as Kim mentioned, the museum. So you know, it's really a chaotic situation, and I've always been worried about the traffic there at the entrance to town. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr Tehan. Councillors, any questions for Mr Tehan? I've got one, Mr. Tean. What would you think about putting an off? Help me here. What would it be called? What would you call that? An off?
Oh, a turning lane, left lane.
A left turning lane
Yeah.
off the High Street stroke Maroondah Highway into Station Street to alleviate pressure off them turning into Station Street. Also, in my looking at from a safety point of view, to be safer. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, look,
If the service lane was closed and so.
oh, no, well, I just think it's an absolute necessity that it is closed. I think a left-hand turn coming from the town into Station Street is very a great idea. And even if the service lane wasn't closed, people will still be doing a right-hand turn off the highway, heading towards town into Station Street. So I think summing it all up, that closing that service road is the only way to go.
Thank you. Any other councillors want questions? Thanks very much, Mr. Tean, for coming in tonight. We'll pop you back into the waiting room and you can watch the rest of the proceedings. Thank you. Okay, councillors, the responsible officer for this tonight is Mr. Fabian Rushan. Thank you, Fabian, for coming in. Councillors, any questions?
Yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Mr. Ruckshant. Just wondering, have any of the garbage truck drivers or council workers been consulted about what their opinion on this closure would be? Would it affect their ability to do rubbish collections or make it easier potentially?
Yes, through you, Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
I'm not sure whether we were consulted on the garbage truck people, but we did allow for the garbage truck for exit in that turnaround point. But I can find that out for you and come back to you with an answer. Yeah.
Yeah.
Might just ask the general manager, she's aware of that. I know that our waste team was certainly.
Yes, through you, Mr. Mayor. That is correct. So the section where where it shows the gravel exit for garbage trucks will work for the garbage trucks. It will be that the residents may have to put the bins on the other side of the road so they can get picked up, and then they'll go straight out that exit. So they'll come in from the east, pick up the bins, and then go out back onto the Maroondah Highway from there. And we have spoken to Cleanaway about that.
Thank you. No further questions.
Councillor Tean?
Yeah, just with the land where we could potentially build a turn-in lane off the Maroondah, off High Street into Station Street, if this side lane was closed, what would be the process we'd have to go through to get a left turning lane built?
I would like to answer that question as well. Yeah.
Certainly. So through you, Mr. Mayor,
Yep.
because the road is a Vic Roads road, a Department of Transport road, we would need to seek their permission to do any works on that part of the road. It's probably a bigger question about what we need to do to manage traffic along that whole stretch of road, as was raised by the people speaking to this matter earlier. But in terms of that, it would be, we might be able to come up with, say, a concept design and put it to DTP for their consideration. It'd be our first step, and then start advocating, because it's their road, for them to do some works on it. It is one benefit, I suppose, of closing this service line, is it will put the the onus back on DTP to a certain degree to own the arterial road network and managing it more appropriately, which I think is actually an unexpected outcome that we'll see from the works we do in this service lane.
Mm. Mm. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, good point. Any other questions, councillors?
I'll move a motion that Council 1 closes the High Street Service Road to through traffic at Apollo Street end. 2, seek approval from the Department of Transport and Planning to undertake the closure. 3, undertake the necessary works to close this through road. And 4, amend the Register of Public Roads to reflect the change in the status of this service road.
I'll second that.
Councillor Clark. Okay. Councillor Brenny, do you want to speak to the motion?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think it's an appropriate thing to do is to close this and to return it as a residential and commercial access to those properties along the service lane. In all my years of living in Mansfield, I'm 31 years, that has always just been an area where people can speed along, and there's a few elderly residents along there. I've thought it's always a curious quirk of the road system that it's a through road. So I think very supportive of this change and reflected by the residents' support in the survey that was conducted. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Clark, do you want to speak to the motion?
Yes, please. Just to say, yeah, we got the support from the residents there, which is the biggest concern for me. And I think the benefits of closing it from a long-term planning solution outweigh potential negatives. I think the traffic that would be turning left, I think, could benefit from a turning lane, but I know that's a bigger project. But it does reduce it to that local traffic only and protect those residences, which is the purpose of that service lane. So yeah, happy to support this motion.
Thank you. Councillor, does anyone want to speak against the motion before it? Yep.
Yeah, I'm going to
Ian?
speak against the motion. I'm not in favour of the motion, but if this motion doesn't get up, I'd like to move an amendment just to add in that I think we would write to DTP to request that a left-hand turning lane be put in on High Street turning into Station Street, because I feel that closing this service lane is going to have a detrimental impact on that intersection. And if you have traffic starting to bank up on High Street at that intersection, which I think is possible, it could be a real bottleneck and a recipe for disaster. I would support this if there was an amendment. If this recommendation doesn't get up, to include an amendment at point 5.
Okay, so I wanted to speak to the motion too, because I've got concerns about having a turn off lane, but I don't want to keep the road open. So I'm speaking for the motion, but with reservation to say I think we should write to the DTP and put something up, a plan or something, so we can smooth that traffic out and allow people to have a safer entry into Station Street, because I just see it as being a safety concern there. So I'm happy to support the motion, but I'd like to see more work done, or I don't know the words about this, maybe so I would support a turning lane off High Street stroke Maroondah Highway. I'm not sure where it becomes Maroondah Highway, I suppose right at that corner there where it splits. So into Station Street. So I'll leave that with you, councillors. Want to move an amendment?
Well, I think the
Yeah,
motion's already
it's up to the proposer. Yeah, it's up to the proposer whether we vote on it or move an amendment.
Through you,
Yes.
Mr. Mayor, and discussion with councillors that are here. Could we add an additional point to the motion to add a point 5 and add in there to advocate through the Department of Transport to add a left turning lane in a westerly direction on Maroondah Highway into Station Street?
I'll second that motion as a.
Yeah. And councillors, councillor officers, you've got written it down. Okay. That's the new motion that's been put up.
Can you just read that?
Read that. I was going to ask them to do that. So if you could read from point 5.
Advocate through the Department of Transport and Planning to a left-hand turning lane into Station Street.
From High Street.
From High Street.
High Street.
Well, there's already one coming the other way anyway.
Yeah.
So, nothing.
And you're now proposing that motion with 5.
Yeah.
Happy to second the motion.
Yep.
Do you want to speak for or against the motion, any councillor?
Yeah, well, I support that motion, that amended motion that.
All right, I'll put the motion to a vote then. All those in
Ladies.
favour of the motion?
Yep.
Motion's carried. Good. Welcome to stay, Mr. Twycross. Or not? Yeah, good. All right, well, we've got the gravel cycling route, which is 13.2.3. I have one deputation on this, which is Ms. Kim Lynch, hopefully still online in the... Yes. Good evening, Ms. Lynch, and welcome to Mansfield Shire Council for agenda item 13.2.3, which is the gravel cycling routes.
Excuse me, Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
Well, you've got an officer coming in.
The general manager will take.
Oh,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
So notice at home. Yeah, responsible officer is General Manager Melissa Crane on this one. Ms. Lynch, with 3 minutes. Thank you.
Okay, so everybody on this motion, I'm speaking on behalf of Dick, my husband, and myself, and it's with specific reference to the Merrijig Two Rivers Loop. It's not the entire proposal. We support this cycle route, but only with the safety initiatives as is proposed. And we'd also like to suggest a couple more conditions that you might want to consider, the most important being the speed limit on Buttercup Road. So tonight I'll focus on the stretch of road between Buttercup Road from School Lane to Greenways Lane, and in particular, the intersection with Murphy's Lane. Now, I don't know if you've got any maps in front of you, but I hope you can envision what I'm talking about. The entire stretch of this bit of Buttercup Road adjoins our property, so we see everything on a daily basis, and we've actually witnessed 3 single vehicle rollovers from vehicles travelling too fast down that hill. The key requirements in approving this cycle path as we see it is that Buttercup Road is a local road, so the Shire has the ability to drop the speed limit to 80 or even 60 for safety for all road users, and it's been talked about in the past with no success, but now that there's a cyclist initiative attached to this, we see that as rather imperative. The road has few safe verges, only a couple of safe refuges on private driveways. It has deep gutters caused by watershedding erosion, and it doesn't afford any ability for vehicles or cars or cyclists to really get off the road at all, particularly when you've got something coming at you at 100 miles an hour. So the road is regularly used by tourists who don't know that there's a risk on this road. And in particular, the curve at the intersection of Buttercup Road and Murphy's Lane does not have any line of sight in either direction for either vehicles or cyclists, and it's totally a blind bend in both directions. The proposal before you actually suggests warning signage to be introduced, and we support all of that. Some of it isn't quite as fulsome as it could be, For example, native wildlife, we have abundant kangaroos, the corrugations and the slick and the dusty surfaces that are on that road, and particularly on the Buttercup Road Hill, locally known as Murphy's Hill. And you currently drive up that hill to a complete blank. It's on the crest and you can't see anything coming in either direction, particularly if it's fast, albeit that those speeds are currently legal. So our advice is that there needs to be recognition of the type of large vehicles that frequent Buttercup Road, that include caravans, horse floats, farm vehicles up to B-double trucks carrying cattle, tractors, haymaking machinery, the gas, garbage, water trucks, fertiliser, gravel, all of those take up the entire road. So if you're on a bike, you've got nowhere to go, particularly if any of those, well, all of those travel at speed, I can tell you. So we say the path should be closed to cyclists on extreme and total fireban days. That's not a condition in front of you. And we also say that it's not suitable for winter cycling because of the slickness of the road, even for vehicles. Having said all that negative stuff, we do support this cycle.
That's actually 3 minutes.
Okay,
But anyway,
so
I'll let you go for a little bit longer.
I've got 2 sentences.
Yeah.
So it highlights the best of what the high country offers around Merrijig. Fabulously picturesque, and in the Alpine approach in Delatite Valley, we totally support it with a strong proviso that a few more conditions are added, in particular the road speed, and really safety has to come first for these cyclists and also the current road users. Thanks, Mr. Bear. Sorry for going over.
That's all right. Luckily you spoke slowly.
Yeah, right.
So, councillors, have you got any questions for Ms Lynch?
Yep.
Councillor Toon?
So, Ms Lynch, so you want to see a speed reduction on Buttercup Road from where to where again?
Well, the whole length of it would be great, but in particular between School Lane and Greenways Lane. So that's effectively up and over the Murphy's Hill. It's about a 2 or 3 kilometre stretch.
Okay, yeah, righto, yeah. Okay, thanks. What is it currently, sorry, the speed limit on there? And what?
100, and it's unmade.
Okay, and so you're asking for a speed limit reduction to?
80. I think 80 is sensible. 60 would be fabulous, but I think that's a stretch too far to ask. But really, a vehicle coming at 100 kilometres an hour into a car, or even worse, a cyclist, that's a pretty in-your-face experience on a road that really has not a lot of safety available to get off the road.
Councillors, any other questions?
Just one. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Ms Lynch. You mentioned that you live on this road. Do you often see cyclists down there already? I'm just curious as to how it's currently used.
We don't see a lot of cyclists. We do see a lot of motorcyclists. They seem to love to zoom up and down the hill, but really not a lot at this stage, no.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll pop you back into the waiting room and we'll discuss this matter further. Thank you, Ms Lynch, for coming in tonight.
Thank you.
Okay, councillors, the responsible officer is Ms Crane. Any questions for the gravel cycling routes? Councillor Toon?
Yeah, a few questions. Ms Crane, just with Ms Lynch's request to get the speed limit reduced from 100 down to 60 or 80 or 60 on that road, what would that entail to get that done? And what would be the chance of that happening?
Yes, certainly through you, Mr. Mayor. So the whole process for the gravel cycling routes, 2 things have come to the fore. One is existing driver behaviour and existing risks that exists on some of our roads, and the other being has how the cyclists will interact with them. In terms of the speed limit for Buttercup Road itself, as much as it is a local road, any speed limit is only able to be reduced with the approval of the Department of Transport and Planning. So what we normally would do with any request we receive for a reduction in a speed is do an assessment of that road, usually with traffic counts, to find out what the average speed people are travelling at and things like that. Often if you can establish that most people, your median speed is at about that 80, DTP will often say that's a reasonable request to reduce the speed in those instances. So the first bit would be council officers undertake an engineering assessment of the safety impacts of the road, what the implications of a speed reduction would be. And before we would put anything to DTP, we'd likely then start looking and seeking further input from the broader community as well, just to make sure that before we actually put in a request for a speed reduction, that it's broadly supported as well as technically supported.
Yeah, okay, and so the time frame for these to do all this, to get this, if it was successful.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear that. Something's gone with the
just
sound.
the time frame it may take. Where that microphone is over there. The time frame. The time frame it may take to from when we request that of DTP, do traffic counts, engineering assessments, etc., to actually getting the speed lowered.
It's about, I'd say.
Oh, I think it's back.
You got it? You got it?
Yep, it's back. I don't know who's playing with it, but it's back.
So it was the question was the time frame.
Oh,
yeah, just the time frame from initial investigation to potentially when a speed reduction could occur.
I'm sorry. Could you repeat that again? It was It was going up and down again. I don't know what is going on.
Yeah, it might be a connection issue. I'm happy through me. I'm happy.
Yeah,
to
I think
answer.
CEO take it.
So it's usually it usually is a couple of months at least to get the officer assessment done, the traffic counts done, and then get it through to DTP. We would also need to do community engagement in that timeframe as well, so that we can give them the results. Usually our officers would talk to them at the traffic liaison committee to get some initial feedback as well. So I'd say, let's say 2 to 3 months. In terms of the turnaround time for DTP response, that can be extended. It has been up to 6 months, I think, since when we put applications in. So it's not a quick process. We do try to get an answer as quickly as possible for residents, but it just has to wait in the queue, I think, is pretty much how it works.
Yeah, thank you. I think it must be my headset. Thank you. So hopefully you can still hear me okay. Yes, that is correct. It takes some time. We do our best to get them to move through as quickly as possible. Usually use calendar reminders to send friendly reminders in terms of their timeframes, but they usually are about that 6-month turnaround.
Another question?
Just to follow that up. Yeah, so with the rest of the routes that in this project, the Mansfield Goffs Bay and the Mount Samaria loops, what percentage of those routes is the speed limit not 100 kilometres an hour?
Yes, so through you, Mr. Mayor, the default speed on most of our roads is that 100 k's in our rural areas. It's generally only within townships that we have the reductions to 80 or 60, depending on where they are. So only parts of the routes are generally going to be at those lower speeds. When they're on the longer road loops, they tend to be within those 100 k an hour environments.
So what you're telling me is basically that these 3 routes that we're looking at tonight, all of the roads are set at 100. The speed limit would be 100 kilometres an hour.
Predominantly, they would be, yes. Not the whole routes for there, but predominantly they would be, yes.
Thanks.
Yeah, councillors.
Question. Thank
Yes.
you, Mr. Mayor.
Yep.
Thank you, Ms. Green. What's the public accessibility of these roads currently? Like, what's to stop people cycling on it at the moment?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, they are public roads. So at the moment, people can use them for carriageway in all manner of vehicles. So cars, motorbikes, trucks, and cyclists are able to use these roads at the moment. They are actually probably already being used as these loops as they are when there is a tendency for people who have a gravel cycling people that do that will actually map their own routes and put them onto internet sites and things like that. So this provides us with an opportunity to at least manage some of the behaviour on ones that we think are being used a bit more regularly as well. But there are already websites that contain these loops where people have mapped them themselves and used them. And there's nothing to stop people from continuing to use any road in our municipality to ride on.
Leads into my follow-up question. Do you see that the benefit of engaging with this as a tourism project is that we can implement some of those warnings, some of those safety requirements, the videos, the signage, things like that, to try and influence driver behaviour for people who are existing road users and are using it for those purposes already?
To a degree, yes. So the signage and the safety measures we're looking to implement are trying to influence rider behaviour more so than cyclist behaviour. So where the videos we've prepared are about making cyclists aware that they're living in they're riding in a rural environment and to be aware of what's going on around them. But there is also, as part of this process, as I said before, there's been a few items that have come up where there's existing conditions with driver behaviour or hunting behaviour in the areas that are broader issues anyway, things that we as council officers have been more than happy to raise with the relevant authorities about how they might deal with them more generally, because if the people are already experiencing conditions as Ms Lynch described with the crest where there's not enough signage, that is something we can do regardless of whether people are using that area for cycling or not.
Okay, and have Tourism Northeast put together any kind of economic analysis of the benefits of gravel cycling routes and what they might bring to our region?
Yes, certainly through you, Mr Mayor. Tourism Northeast do have significant amount of information and economic value that is demonstrated from people who use cycling routes. One of our biggest draw cards in this region is cycling, not just gravel cycling, but all the cycling options that we offer across the municipality, including rail trails and some of the higher altitude riding. In terms of the actual numbers, I can't probably provide them to you at this point, but yes, that is a statistic that is tracked through Tourism Northeast for the region.
Okay, one final question, Mr Mayor. Just how do you think this relates, if it does at all, to our tracks and trails strategy, which is also up for discussion at tonight's council meeting?
Yes, certainly through you, Mr Mayor. In terms of the tracks and trails strategy is more broadly about what tracks we have and what ones we need more into the future for our municipality, whereas these gravel cycling routes are utilising existing assets in a slightly different way than we may have in the past. So it's not creating a new asset or a new maintenance requirement with these gravel cycling routes, but the tracks and trails will have that broader strategic consideration about what we may or may not decide to advocate for or seek funding for into the future in terms of build of new assets.
Great, thank you.
Any other questions, councillors? I've got one, Ms Crane. So alongside this 80-kilometre reduction or 60, and you've mentioned the officer's time, putting the tapes out, going to community, putting on a website. Have you got an estimated cost to the ratepayer of what this would cost for each road that needed to be dealt with?
Yeah, so in terms of, I probably don't have an estimated cost, but it is one of our business as usual obligations that we do. If we receive a request from the community to investigate a speed reduction, we do undertake a standard set of work. So putting out the tapes to get the number of vehicles and how fast they're moving is not a significant amount of time. It's usually one of our officers will go out, lay the tapes and leave them there for a period of time, go back, pick them up, and then we download that information. So that'd be a couple of hours of work. Then there's a bit of work in terms of the analysis of that data, which they're fairly experienced at now, because we do get quite a lot of requests for speed reductions across the municipality. They do that bit of analysis, and then before they undertake any further work, there is a discussion through their management line to determine whether there is a case to be made for actually taking it further before we would go to the community and have community engagement. So there is a couple of decision points where we determine whether it is something we want to invest more time into at that point.
I've got one more question. On any road that's on the road register, there's road rules set by the state government. And I think one of them is that you have to maintain a distance of 1.5 metres off a cyclist. Is that correct?
I would have to confirm, but I believe I have heard that. I'm not as across the road rules in that way. I probably should be, considering I have a license, but it is certainly people have to drive to the conditions of the road in the first instance, and we also have an obligation to make sure people are safe.
Yeah. So if I've got a 4 metre wide spray unit on my tractor and the road's 5 metres wide, I don't know how I'm going to comply to the road law. But anyway, that's a question, I suppose, but you can't answer it because you're not a police officer.
I can answer it in terms of the reasoning why we have put together that those education pieces is to inform rider behaviour and encourage riders to get off the road, so we don't put our farming vehicles in a state of non-compliance. That has been the driver behind those pieces of work.
Yeah, but if you did hit it, if you came over a rise and you hit a cyclist on a gravel road, you're in the wrong.
Yeah, that was probably what I may refer to the police. Yes.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. So I think that's pretty true. Councillor Brennan, you want to share something with us?
Just looking up the road rules.
All right. Yeah.
Anything over 3.5 metres would require a pilot vehicle. Currently requires one, regardless. So
okay.
If you drive,
wide road sign. Okay, maybe on 3.5 metres wide.
3.5.
You're good. I haven't actually measured it. Must look that up. Good point.
Yeah.
Councillor T, did you want to?
Oh, I'm happy to move a motion if that's sorry. I thought that.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
There's no more questions.
Is there any more questions?
No more questions.
No more questions. All right. I'll go for your life.
I'm going to move a motion that council not endorse the Mansfield gravel cycling route network.
Okay. Got a seconder for the motion? Well, I can't second it because I'm the mayor. So the motion is lapsed because there's no seconder.
Sure, no worries.
Okay. Have I got another motion?
Yeah, I'll move a motion.
Right.
That council endorse the Mansfield gravel cycling route network consisting of Mansfield Goffs Bay Picnic Point, Merrijig Two Rivers Loop and Mount Samaria Loop. To endorse the implementation of the associated safety improvements, educational resources and rider etiquette initiatives outlined in this report. And 3, note that council officers will undertake monitoring and review of the promoted route network, including consideration of community feedback, usage data and any identified safety concerns.
I'll second that, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, yeah. All right. So Councillor Brenny, do you want to speak to the motion?
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Mayor. I think, as Councillor Clark pointed out, people can already cycle along these routes and do. I think just formalising a bit will mean that people are all aware that this is used for cyclists as well as vehicles, and encourage any gravel cyclists willing to use these routes or wanting to adhere to all safety precautions. Don't ride with headphones in, respect agricultural vehicles and current users, and abide by all safety and road rules as they are stated.
Okay, Councillor Clark, do you want to speak to the motion?
Yes, please, Mr. Mayor. I think this gravel cycling network is a really good opportunity for our shire when it comes to off-peak activities and the promotion of off-peak activities. Our roads are already shared use environments. People are utilising them already. If we have funding in place to make improvements in safety messaging, then I think we should do that and take that opportunity. And I think we would be remiss if we didn't get on board with this as one of the fastest growing tourism activities for our region across the northeast. There is a lot of data out there for the benefits of these cycling routes, and we see cycling growing more and more. I think if we ignore it, it's not going to go away, but if we develop with it, we can hopefully do it in a way that's safe for everyone and safe for all the road users.
Okay. Does anyone want to speak against the motion? Councillor.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Mayor. I think since this project started, it's been really flawed. Hasn't been done properly. T&E came in initially and started advertising these gravel cycling routes before it had even gone through council, which was pretty rogue of them. I think it started out with 9 routes. 6 of them were withdrawn because of safety issues, and those issues were highlighted really well when we went out and did proper community consultation around this project. There was real fear of, accidents happening because all these roads were 100-kilometre-hour roads. And if you've got a family of parents with their kids tootling along a back road in Mansfield, which is 3 to 4 metres wide, and you've got all sorts of vehicles coming at them, it's just, to me, it just doesn't sit right. I don't want to be part of something which could potentially, I don't mind, I understand people can ride along these pathways and they do so at their own risk, but for us to endorse it, you've got...
Councillor, have you got something to share with the rest of us?
I just said you have right of reply.
Okay, well, it's, we don't pass messages along. Let
Is that a governance rule?
Well, Councillor Clark, writing something down and passing it to another councillor, I will look at whether it's a governance rule, but I would suggest that as the chair of the meeting, it's not kosher. You're here to make a decision by yourself, not talk amongst each other via messages. If you don't agree with that, please say something.
I don't agree with that.
All right, we'll
I'm
find out.
I'm happy to share my note. It's
Yeah.
not related at all to the
I will
decision.
give you who put the motion up the right of reply.
Okay.
As per the governance rules. Thank you. Yeah, sorry, Councillor Tean.
Yep, lost my train of thought a bit now, but anyway, yeah, I think so that we initially started off with 9 routes, and we've reduced them back to 3 because of safety issues on those other 6. These routes that are designated here are probably, as if not, they're probably worse roads in these 3 routes than the other 6 that we didn't allow to go through. So I understand people can cycle along them, and very happy to do that if they want to, but I don't want to vote for a motion which is encouraging people to go out onto roads that I believe are unsafe, to do an unsafe pursuit perhaps, for want of a better word. So, yeah, that I won't.
Yep. Or I get to speak to the motion and you get a right reply. Right from the beginning, I had concerns about the way T&E went about this, and my road at Duran Lane's been taken off. It wasn't Duran Lane, it was Long Lane I was really worried about. Having spoken to a lot of people, this is an agricultural area at the end of the day, and people have farms and they deserve to be able to make a living, the right to farm. And I don't like the idea. I know people can use these, any route, any road at all. It's their right to do that. And we must keep 1.5 metres away from that's the law of Victoria. I get that. But I think that endorsing cycling routes, I'm wavering on two sides here, councillors, because one is I can see the economic benefit by bringing people in and enjoying what we all have to see all the time. But on the other hand, I'm really worried about this safety issue. And from a perspective of someone that uses large machinery nearly every other day on small roads, not quite 3.5 metres wide, Councillor Breen, maybe a bit under it. But, you know, I am worried about that. And so I do share Councillor Tian's concerns that were just listed now. I'm wavering on both sides here. I have to be convinced to support the motion. Over to you, Councillor Breen.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thanks, Councillor Tian, for the concerns sharing. Would remind people that it's a 100 speed limit, which means you don't have to drive at 100 kilometres an hour, nor is it your right to drive at 100 kilometres an hour along those roads. You need to drive through the conditions. My counter would be that I agree. I think that the initial approach from T&E and just going, bang, these are all the routes was an inappropriate way to be approaching it. But I think suggesting and condensing where these routes are for people who are not locals. I, for one, am a gravel cyclist. I've ridden all of these roads. Not once have I encountered a tractor, mainly because I ride at times where I know not going to be moving tractors. That's local knowledge. I would hope that if people come here and then see these signs, we could at least direct them into these routes that are known, and then road user at least aware that this is happening, and it gives a chance for the agricultural users, as you say, that have a livelihood. I've also driven windrowers and headers down to these roads. I know how difficult it is to give appropriate distance. I know that the 1.5 distance is only if you're going over 60 k's an hour. If you're pushing a windrower over 60 k's an hour, you're a very brave person and potentially irresponsible. I think promotion of these healthy activities and the safer that we can do them, the better that it can be. I think if we have the backing, the money from T&E to be pushing this, I think we could utilise them and their reach to really put the onus on them to be pushing these safety messaging and to further that going forward, because I know there are poor road users on both sides, on the cycling side and on the vehicle operator sides. Some people use those roads as back shortcuts anyway. But I think this could be a bigger educational opportunity. And I think limiting them to the cycling routes that are listed here in this motion I've moved is a good place to begin. And I think that could be the foundation. If it never grows from there, then that's how it is. But at least people are aware that these are where you might come into contact with some cyclists. Yeah, that's all.
All right, well, I'll put the motion to a vote. Those in favour? Motion's carried.
If you want an against.
Please.
Sorry.
CEO, please. Do you want to have a division?
No.
Because I'm asking who's, if the motion's carried, it's 3-4. Yeah. Those against. 3-4. Motion's carried.
It's fine.
Can
Can I just raise a point of order just before we move on?
Yes.
The point that you made about the mayor not being able to second a motion, I believe that the mayor can second motions in council meetings. So could I just get a clarification on that?
Check that. Yeah.
Take that on notice.
Yeah, we might
please.
just, yeah.
Yeah, sure, yeah, well, yeah.
have to look at
Won't
the
need it
act-
until the next motion comes up.
Yeah.
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 No pressure.
The good. I'm glad that was a very robust discussion, and that's the way that a good council operates, with robust discussion, and sometimes you can change people's minds. So 13.2.4 is the Sporting Wall of Fame. Again, this is Ms. Crane doing a lot of work tonight, Ms. Crane. Councillors, take it as read. So you got any questions? No. In that case, there is a recommendation on page 24, Councillor Teague.
I'm happy to move the recommendation on page 25 of the agenda tonight.
Councillor Bruni.
Second that motion.
And Councillor Teague, do you want to speak to the motion?
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Mayor. I think we've got a lovely canvas up there now to work on for these 10 champions of Mansfield, sporting gurus. And I also just like to note in the recommendation, the proposed project that it will be coming back to council for final endorsement with the cost of the project before it goes ahead. So, yep. But congratulations to all those sports people.
Councillor Bruni, you second the motion you want to speak to?
No, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Does anyone else want to speak to the motion? Or against the motion? I'll put the motion to a vote. All those in favour? Motion's carried. 13.3.1 is the creation of Road Errol Street. Responsible officer is Strategic Property Program Manager Renee Archibald. Ms. Archibald, welcome tonight to our council meeting. Councillors, any questions for Ms. Archibald tonight? No? In that case, page 29 has a recommendation on it. Councillor Bruni?
I'll move the recommendation as written on page 29 of this evening's agenda.
Thank you. Have we got a seconder for the motion? Councillor Clark? Councillor Bruni, do you want to speak to that motion?
I think this is just a good cleanup of some legacy issues in a complicated area of town. And I think this could hopefully simplify some things going forward.
Councillor Clark, do you want to speak to the motion?
No, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Does anyone want to speak against the motion? For the motion? Put the motion to a vote. All those in favour? Motion's carried. Thank you. It's easy, wasn't it? Thanks for coming in tonight. Ms. Archibald. 13.4.1 is the Tracks and Trails Strategy 2026-2046. Project Officer, Responsible Officer, Project Officer Asher Lloyd. Mr. Lloyd, welcome tonight to the meeting. Councillors, any questions for Mr. Lloyd? Okay, so once again, there is a recommendation on page 33. Councillor Clark?
I would like to move that Council 1 adopts the Mansfield Shire Tracks and Trails Strategy 2026 to 2046, and 2 authorises the Chief Executive Officer to make any minor editorial corrections required to the Mansfield Shire Tracks and Trails Strategy 2026 to 2046.
Thank you. Got a seconder? Councillor Bruni? Councillor Clark, do you want to speak to the motion?
Yes, please, Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
Thank you. I just want to say what a great job I think you did putting it together, and I really, really liked the amount of community engagement that happened on this. And I know it's something that, you know, a lot of people in our community are really passionate about. We're a very outdoorsy community, so having this in place and just noting that it is a 20-year strategy and that these things will happen progressively as we're able to do them, and engagement will be done over each of the items as they happen. So this is a guiding document, and as we kind of explore these projects, people will have further opportunity to engage over them specifically. So thanks for all your work.
Councillor Green.
Yeah, I'll just add on to Councillor Clark's comments there that for anyone who reads this and might see something such as a pathway from Mansfield to Marimba, that does not mean that it has been endorsed and approved or that it's entirely feasible, but it an area of interest for people who have submitted engagement to it. So not to be too concerned there and to remain engaged with the process that develops. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone want to speak against the motion or for the motion? I'll put the motion to a vote. All those in favour of the motion? That motion is carried. Thanks, Mr. Lloyd, coming in. 13.5.1 is Child Safety and Wellbeing Policy. Responsible officer is Ms. Chelsea Daly. Welcome tonight, Chelsea, to our council meeting. Councillors, any questions for Ms. Daly? Councillor Clark.
I don't have a question, Mr. Mayor, but I'll move a motion.
Yep.
The council endorse the Child Safety and Wellbeing Policy 2026 and note the updated Child Safe Reportable Conduct Procedure 2026.
Thank you. Got a seconder for that motion? Councillor Bruni. Councillor Clark, do you want to speak for the motion?
No, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Bruni.
No, thank you,
Does
Mr. Mayor.
anyone want to speak against the motion or for the motion? In that case, I'll put the motion to a vote. All those in favour of the motion? Thank you. Motion's carried. 13.6.1 is the revenue and rating plan. And our responsible officer is the coordinator financial planning analysis, Joanne O'Brien, but there will also be the financial controller, Mr. Michael McCormick, coming in. Welcome, Ms. O'Brien, and welcome, Mr. McCormack, to our monthly CAT meeting tonight. We're discussing the revenue and rating plan, and councillors, any questions? Anyone want to put a motion up then?
Yeah, I'm happy to
Steve?
move that council adopt the revised revenue and rating plan 2025-2029.
Thank you. And I've got a seconder, is Councillor Rennie. Councillor Teen, do you want to speak to the motion?
Just to highlight again that the method that council have employed through the revenue and rating plan to keep consistent rate increase across all categories has been done very well by the finance department in this revenue and rating plan.
Rennie? Does anyone want to speak against the motion or for it? I'll just speak for the motion and just bring public's attention to this item 13.6.1 because it does mention the Emergency Services Volunteer Fund, which is collected through our rates that we've constantly said is unfair to council, but I'm happy to support the motion. So put the motion to a vote. All those in favour of the motion. The motion's carried. You don't go anywhere. 13.6.2 is the highlight of my evening, the 2026-27 budget. I think on behalf of all councillors, we're really looking forward after months and months of really hard work to getting this one discussed, whether it passes or not. Councillors, if you've got any questions for either Mr. McCormack or Ms. O'Brien tonight. Councillor Team.
I'm happy to move the motion, Mr. Page 48 of tonight's agenda, 48 and 49.
Okay, we'll get someone, councillor, to second the motion. Councillor Clark. Councillor Team, you've moved the motion. Do you want to speak to it?
Yep. Thanks, Mr. Mayor. I think this is my 6th budget now, and I reckon this one's a really good one. I reckon it's really economically responsible in a very uncertain time. I think there's a really good mix of community consultation ideas that came in and that were listened to by council and backed up and selected on their merits. And I think that we've been able to do this under a very minimal rate cap of 2.75. In fact, the budget increases 2.65. It's a budget that really deals with good capital projects and good maintenance. It's had great staff input into this budget. And I think as each year goes along, I'm seeing the staff get more involved and more invested in the way this operation runs. And to me, that's really pleasing. It's not just us sitting here going, be good to do this or that or whatever. The staff suggestions are really good. They're out on the ground doing the work. And there is a lot more work to do because we've got a lot of growth, a lot of open spaces to deal with. But we've been able to handle that. And we've also been able to enhance the way that the office systems work in this organisation with the transformation to the new digital processes, which has been a really good success. And I think there's also a lot of cost savings that are starting to come from both sides in this budget process, which is really pleasing because things are tight and they will be tight going forward. And we've had to borrow some money to do some of these projects, but I like the way that, you know, within 4 years, most of that borrowed money will be run down. So I think there's a good mix of capital grants, $13 million worth of capital grants coming in. So that's good. And that's probably a really responsible level so that we can actually get these projects done as we go along. There's been no increase to the waste charges, which has been really pleasing because I note in a lot of other shires, waste charges have gone up considerably. So I think that's been a real strength of this budget too. So yeah, I really like the way this has been presented and congratulate the finance department on bringing it to us the way they have.
Thanks, Councillor Toon. Councillor Clark, do you want to speak to the motion?
No, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think my fellow councillor captured it.
Yeah. Anyone else want to speak to it or against it?
No, I'll speak to champion the points that Councillor Tian has raised in there, and to note that these big infrastructure projects that are being worked on that are grant funded, responsible management of them going through has been really great. It'll be good to see them finalised in the coming year, hopefully. See what can happen after that. Responsible through a time of uncertainty is what we need.
Yeah. I'd like to speak to it. People, this budget, as Councillor Tean said, is one of our best budgets, and I'd like to actually thank my fellow councillors. This has been thousands of hours of work by everyone, councillors, council officers, people investing their time to write in and ask about the budget, looking over the budget, getting back to us. It's a really good community outcome, this one. And as Councillor Tean said, no increase in the waste charge is an absolute gold takeaway here. The other takeaways are, and I know I'm speaking the same points, but coming in under the rate cap for the 6th year in a row, we are really focused on your money, and we will remain focused on your money. It means a lot to us. When you've got to come up and you pay your rates every quarter, it means a lot to us to make sure that we're getting the best spend for your dollar. And we will continue to do that. I think we all agree with that on council. Also that the Councillor Tean also mentioned our debt, and it's really pleasing to see that we are paying down our debt. In fact, in paying it down, we'll nearly have it knocked on the head in 4 years' time. So there's not many councils around, small little rural shire councils that are doing this. And I mentioned one of them. I read a report today was saying how they got an economically sustainable model. Well, they've just put up their rates by 10%. We don't do that. We look within the organisation. And I must say, as one of the councillors, I really thank the council staff for their involvement every year in this. And again, councillors, your hard work, because this is our effort, everyone's effort. So I'm happy to support your motion, Councillor Tean. I'm looking forward to voting for it. So without any further ado, I'll put the motion to a vote. Those in favour? The motion's carried. Thank you. So don't go anywhere. Item 13.6.3. One of my favourite things, the Emergency Services and Volunteers Fund levy payment. The reason why we do this is a responsible officer still here, Mr. Michael McCormick. We have to seek approval from the council for the payment of the 3rd and 4th quarter Emergency Services and Volunteer Fund levy for the 25-26 financial year, as the amount exceeds the financial delegation that we've given to our CEO. And that's why it comes to us every quarter, so we can keep calling it out and say how we don't agree with it. So, councillors, you got any questions for Mr. McCormick? Councillor Clark?
I'll reluctantly move a motion, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah.
That council authorises the Chief Executive Officer to pay the Q3 $696,451.94 and Q4 $843,675.78 Emergency Services and Volunteers Fund for a total amount of $1.540127.72 ex-GST.
Thank you, Councillor Clark. Have I got a seconder? Councillor Brenny? Councillor Clark, do you want to speak to the motion?
No, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Brenny, do you want to speak to the motion?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, it is painful to do this, especially as there's a 26.82% increase on it. It is a statutory and legislative obligation of the council to pay this in a timely manner and not incur any other costs. Continue advocating for a better solution for funding of emergency services and fires in the regions, particular, considering we've just dealt with a pretty hefty summer of just that. That's all.
Well said.
Yeah, Does anyone else want to speak against or for?
I'll speak against the motion,
Yeah.
Mr. Mayor. Yeah,
Please do.
$3 million this year leaving the Shire for Emergency Services Volunteer Fund. And you look at the state of our volunteer infrastructure in this Shire, and you look at the amount of money that's coming back in, or the 3 million that leaves just for this fund, probably more than 3 million, and it just doesn't reconcile.
Mm.
Yeah.
I'm going to speak against the motion. I'm going to vote for the motion because we have to, but I'm going to speak against it. And unfortunately, with an increase on page 51, on the first quarter, 34.87, nearly 35%. That's the 23-24 increases, and then 29.4, 37.3, 30% increases, you know, over those quarters, and then it goes to 42.3% nearly in 25-26, and now we've got another increase, you know, again on 26.8%. An increase on top of an increase on top of an increase is massive, and I'm wondering, in the cost of living, how people can afford just to live these days with this impost. And I mirror Councillor Tian's questions. I think we all saw over the recent fires, we're all of the councillors involved, one way or another, and saw what's going out and not coming in. And I'm not happy about it. I'll continue to advocate sensibly on behalf of our Shire about this, and I've got nothing more to say. So I'll put the motion to a vote. All those in favour? Motion is carried.
Excuse me, Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
Can I please request a quick bathroom break?
Yes, you can. So we're going to have an adjournment for 3 minutes. To allow people to. What is that?
Do we need to move that as a motion?
We actually do, I think.
Yeah.
Move a
Move
motion.
a motion to
Yes.
adjourn for 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Adjourn for 3 minutes.
I'll second.
Seconder, Councillor Brini, all those in favour?
Thank you.
Motion's carried. At
Thank you.
All good. Councillors, can we have a motion to resume the meeting, please? Councillor Clark,
I'll move a motion to resume the meeting. Mr.
thank
Mayor.
you. Seconder, Councillor Bruni, all those in favour? Motion's carried. Start again at 18:50 hours. For item 13.6.4, the LG Community Satisfaction Survey 2026, and the responsible officer tonight, I believe Ms. Tabone's away, so Madam CEO is responsible officer. Yeah, all the government's off. So, councillors, any questions?
Oh, move the motion.
Yep.
If there's no questions, that council receives and notes the 2026 local government community satisfaction survey report.
Thank you. Seconder, James.
Councillor Team.
Councillor Team. Councillor Bruni, do you want to speak to the motion?
Yeah, just to say that as Mr. Mayor likes to say, that we're the best small shire in the world. It is reflected here with really great results in this satisfaction survey, outperforming a lot of other councils and especially other rural ones. So I think keep that trend going, be really good. We know we have to keep pulling through to keep those numbers coming up. So thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Team, you want to speak to the motion?
Yeah, I'd just like to congratulate all the council staff for their work, and because this is all their hard work and dedication and input and ownership of the organisation that has driven these results. So I think it's a fantastic effort and well done to all of them.
Any other councillor want to speak to or against the motion? I'll put that motion to a vote. All those in favour? Motion's carried. Thank you. 13.6.5 is the public interest disclosures policy. Responsible officer is Ms. Daly. Welcome again. Councillors, any questions?
No.
Councillor Clark, you had your hand up.
I was going to move a motion.
Yep.
Mr. Mayor. The council endorses the public interest disclosures policy 2026.
Okay. Have I got a second? Councillor Bruni. Councillor Clark, do you want to speak to it?
No, thank you.
Councillor Bruni?
No, thank you,
Does
Mr.
anyone
Mayor.
want to speak against or for the motion? Put that motion to a vote as well. All those in favour? Motion's carried. 13.6.6 is the municipal boundary realignment request 2946 Mansfield Whitfield Road, Tolmy. Responsible officer Ms. Daly. Any questions, councillors?
Just one. Thank you,
Yes.
Mr. Mayor. Ms. Daly, just for the sake of anyone curious, can you just give a brief overview of what this is relating to?
Yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor.
Yep.
So this current property has 4 allotments, and so one of the allotments is within Mansfield Shire. It is the smallest little tiny allotment of 0.3 hectares compared to the whole title, which is all 4 allotments, being 38 hectares. So they put this request in just to make their lives a little bit easier administratively. They don't have to pay rates with Mansfield Shire because the majority is in Wangaratta Shire. So it is just the ESVF that we're currently collecting. So by just moving the boundary a little bit, it will make their life easier, and we will gain back a little bit of more resources, not having to collect the ESVF. So we'll write in collaboration with Wangaratta Shire Council, who are yet to take this to their councillors. So we'll wait for that to happen to request that the minister make this change.
Thank you.
Right. In that case, with Councillor Team.
Yeah, I'll move the motion that on page 63 of tonight's agenda.
Thank you. We've got a seconder, Councillor Clark. Councillor Team wants to speak to the motion.
No, thanks.
Councillor Clark.
No, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Does anyone want to speak against the motion or for the motion? I'll put the motion to a vote. All those in favour of the motion? Motion is carried. Item 13.6.7 is the Audit and Risk Committee Charter. Ms Daly is the responsible officer again. Any questions, councillors? Councillor Clark,
I'll move a motion that council endorse the Audit Risk Committee Charter 2026.
thank you. Seconder, Councillor Barini. Councillor Clark, do you want to speak to the motion?
No, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Barini?
No, thank you, Mr Mayor.
Does anyone want to speak against it or for it? I'll put the motion to a vote. All those in favour? Motion's carried. Thanks, Ms Daly. So item 14 is the council meeting resolution action station registering as a recommendation in front of you, councillors.
I'll move that council receive and note the Mansfield Shire Council meeting resolution action status register as at 22nd June 2026.
Thanks, Councillor Bruni. Councillor Tehan. Second, you want to speak to the motion? Do
No, thank you, Mr Mayor.
you want to speak?
No, thanks.
Anyone want to speak for or against the motion? I'll put the motion to a vote. Those in favour? Motion's carried. Item 15.1 is the Audit and Risk Committee meeting agenda and minutes. Take that as read. Councillors, yeah, Councillor Bruni.
I'll move that council receive the agenda and minutes of the Mansfield Shire Audit and Risk Committee meeting held 25th of May 2026.
Okay, and I've got a seconder, Councillor Tehan. Councillor Bruni, do you want to speak to it?
No, thank you.
Does anyone else want to speak to for or against it? I've got the motion to vote when I was in favour. Motion's carried. Item 16, authorisation and sealing of documents. There is a nil. Leads us to item 17, a closure of the meeting, members of the public, for a confidential agenda item. Councillor Clark.
I'll move that council close the meeting to members of the public under section 66(2)(a) of the Local Government Act 2020 to consider confidential reports in accordance with section 66(2) of the Local Government Act 2020 for reasons set out in section 18 below.
Okay, have I got a seconder? Thanks. Councillor Barini. All those in favour? Is carried. We will be back shortly after we've discussed this confidential agenda item. Thank you. Welcome back, everyone. And while we were away, we discussed and the motion got carried that we've got a new contract for landfill. That landfill disposal will be going to Benalla City Council. If you read the agenda, it'll be in the agenda coming out tomorrow or the next day. I won't go on about it, but it was madness that we were sending our trucks past Benalla to Shepparton to go to landfill. It's now going to Benalla. There's a better outcome for climate change on that, and also monetary. So I'm really glad to say that, and that was passed unanimously. Councillors, thank you very much tonight. Budget's always a stressful night to put that one through. Council officers, thanks, Madam CEO and everyone else in the chamber here that helped us. And with that, I'll be safe and I'll close the meeting. Thanks very much.
Thank you. Thanks, Mr. Mayor.
1912.
Yeah.